I've completely ripped out the rear suspension of the 6x6 Ford Ranger. I ran over something. But not for the reason why you are thinking. After driving the truck for a little over a month, it was apparent that there were some major issues. And today, we're addressing those. Oh. That is not what you want to see. Got a nice little curvature there. And that's not ideal. Right here. Oh no, folks, I just realized at some point I ran over something. That guy is leaking. Shoot. All right. It's gonna be a good time to use our patch kit. So we're gonna do that as well. Oh, this is not great that this happened. Hopefully that this isn't a... Okay. It's not that bad. It's just a very small, sharp piece that went in. So we'll get rid of that guy and let's get this guy sorted. Well, shoot. That is never ideal. All right, I want to get this guy about halfway in this tool here. So, now that we've used the ream tool for a little bit, we can get this guy in and then pull it out. Oh, it's usually much easier when you don't have the tire suspended where it can roll. There we go. And that guy is now in. We'll snip off the excess. There. Slight little detour in the project today, but you know, you just gotta fix problems as you find them. All right, we had to give up on the plasma cutter. As much as it's a new tool and I love it, I'm still figuring out how to make this one work properly. And we blew the breaker. Common occurrence in this very old home. We did not even get that far in gouging out the weld for this guy. So now we have to resort to using the grinder. I realized after the fact, after I had already removed the spring perch, that I didn't really explain what I was doing that well. So after the plasma torch didn't work for us, we had to resort to using a grinder. So to explain things better, I set the perch back on the tube, not necessarily where it was, as you can tell, but I'm going to explain what it is that I did. So with a grinding disc, keeping it as flat as possible, I followed along the weld and I basically grinded that out till it was flush along the actual perch and it was flush and not gouging into the axle tube. After finishing that, I came in with a cutting disc and slowly went in less than a 1/16. That's where I started. It's always good to do less than more. Once I did that on both sides, as you can tell by the dents, I went at it with a 2-pound mallet. If no cracks were forming in the welds, I proceeded to go at it with the cutting disc again, and then continue to hit it until it...
Forest Tractors has officially followed us.
Try this again. Just bolt through already and then we'll hook it and then go. Okay. So it's there. Let's get the bolt on. There we go. Okay, that works. And if I grab the camera here, if we look in, there is just a little bit of the shoulder of the bolt peering out. So when this clamps down fully, it's only going to have threads for the nut. So these are going to work perfectly. Now we just have to do that 3 more times. All right, now that we got our center pin bolts in, we're going to shove the axle back underneath, get it loosely attached so you can still shift it left to right. That way we can make sure it is centered as well. We already know it's going to be centered kind of front to back. We just need to make sure it's good left to right. Oh, come on. It's not pretty, but we're just kind of getting it there for now. Might have to try to use the jack to do this. Ah, crap. After that little mishap of dropping the axle off of the jack, and with a little help from Allie, who just left, it's on there, it's hanging. There's enough threads that it can just hang from the U-bolts. So I'm gonna tighten it a little bit more to make sure it's on the spring perches all the way. And once it is, we will work on centering it with the other axle, although it does look pretty centered already. But we're gonna make sure. Because if it's left or right, then that's not ideal. Okay, now that we got this pretty well centered, and I still am going to take this to get in alignment as the front needs it as well. We also still need to pick up 2-inch wheel spacers for the rear axle. So that still needs to happen. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to get the pinion pointed in the direction that it needs to be, tighten it down fully, and then we are good to start measuring for our shock mounts and shocks. We have taken measurements and we have our upper shock mount where it needs to be. Our lower mount is kind of set the distance that we need. It will be more to the bottom of the axle tube, that is, versus where it's sitting. The distance is going to be 11 inches on center from lower mount to upper mount. Now that is 3 inches more than the factory, which is 8 inches on center. The reason why I'm doing that is comparatively, the factory springs are, let's say, 0 degrees flat. The rear spring is tilted back about 7 degrees. So increasing that angle for the shocks will actually make it absorb a little bit better. Or at least that's what I think. All right, for drill bits, we are using the ProPoint Cobalt step-up bits from Princess Auto. These are by far the best bits I've ever used. And let's get this center punch in here. And these guys just eat through metal and it's great. Great for mild steel. Ooh. That kind of jostled our mount there. So let's get this first hole all the way to 1/2 inch. And then we'll get it bolted, kind of get it properly situated again. We got a little bit of makeshift shade while we work in here. Let's get our camera down. We're gonna get the shock in here, kind of see where she's sitting at full droop. Oh, shade is wonderful, folks. So we're gonna get our shock on here. Yeah, she's dirty, she's used, that's fine. I'm not too worried about that. that on there all the way. Washer and nut. Let's get that kind of hand tight. And we'll get our lower mount just kind of bolted on quickly. We'll get that guy on there. So it will be under a little bit of pressure here. And we could bring it out a little bit. Oh gosh, those are still nice and strong. So I'm thinking we will have this kind of on a slight angle from the truck to give a little bit more stability in the back, but also keeping it away from where the axle tube was kind of worn out from, well, the old spring perch. Where all the old, well, all the knit grit and everything was kind of sitting in there, eating away at the tube. So I want to pull it away. So initially, this outer edge, the outer edge would be 6 inches from the flange. So I'm thinking if I bring this guy back. I think now we're looking about 4 inches. So bringing it 2 inches over. And that'll just give a little bit more stability as well. I think, yeah, we're going to have it right there. I do not have a marker to mark that. Awesome. Got to do that again. Something like that. Our ground clamp back on there. Now just to let it cool off. With those lower mounts welded in and the shocks fully installed, we are going to call this one finished, and we will have to determine if I solved the issues in the next one. If some of you found most of the information that I put out today useful, I'd appreciate it if you drop a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date on this whole project. And remember, adventure's built, not bought.